Get ready for a cloud-first workplace. Jumpstart your career by signing up for a Google Cloud hands-on learning experience. Companies around the world are moving to the cloud. This is a unique opportunity to gain new skills and professional credentials. If you want to discover a career, scale your startup, or perform groundbreaking research that will change the world, this is the event for you.
Hey!
Hello.
Hello,
Howdy
hello.
and hello from Austin, Texas, y'all. Let us know in the chat where you are joining us from. Madusha, where are you tuning in from today?
So I'm based in Toronto, and I know we didn't get to kind of bounce things off Nilay. So Nilay, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, this is Nila.
So-
I am in California right now.
And you're talking to 250 students streaming live before we kickstart this series with Rohan.
Actually, 250 as of this moment. So if you're just joining us, make sure to share this link with your friends before we get started.
So Nila, you want to tell a little bit about yourself?
Of course. Hi, everyone. So I am Nilay, and I work in the Flutter team at Google. So this is why I am here. I am so excited for this Flutter series. So I just wanted to say a few words. So first, developer student clubs are really, really important for Flutter, because we know that all the students who wants to start a new career, who wants to find a job, or who wants to do something in the future, and Flutter is this new, exciting new technology from Google. You could literally just start learning and then go out and find a job or anything you want to do. And also, it is so fun to play with Flutter because you can build applications for mobile, web, desktop, whatever you need. So this is why this initiative and student clubs, especially this is happening in the student clubs, so important for us. Thank you so much for taking this time to mentor, coach each other, and doing all this thing.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining. And we're going to make the announcement about the little gift that you're going to give out later towards the series. But that being said, we have a few more announcements to make, Danny. So you probably saw the clip. So we are going to do a region-wide study jam with DSCs kickstarting on October 10th. That's the link. If you can't find your club listing, by the way, if you're not a member of any of our DSC clubs, go find that club. I'll put the video again. And find your club there, and then most of those events are already listed with your clubs too. So if, let's say your university don't have one, find the closest one to you. That being said, Danny, anything else you want to add from your side?
Just make sure to give a thumbs up, subscribe, and like this video, as we are going to be putting out a ton of our future content on Think Outside the Valley. So we would love to see you join us in the future for any and all of our events.
So before we introduce Rohan, we got another huge announcement to make. I think we're just going to play the clip. So, Dr. John Hennessy is going to be on live on the 14th. Thanks to our DSC chapter from Villanova. He was a Villanova grad, and they managed to secure him for more than an hour. So if you don't know who he is He's the chairman of Alphabet, which is our parent company, Google's parent company. So he's going to spend the whole hour with the students and talking about what the technology, what his experience has been, and what the company is planning to do, and how you can get involved with all that. So I'm going to put the links below for you to register. Again, check out dsc.community.dev. Those comms are going to go out tonight. Be patient. Events will show up eventually, but make sure to become a member on your chapters. So we have Rohan. How are you, Rohan?
I'm pretty fine. Thanks for asking.
So if you don't know, Rohan been working with us, and he already ran an Android series. He did more than 8 weeks teaching you all how to do Android. Then he discovered that most of the work he did can be done on Flutter as well. So before understanding you have anything to say, we hope we're ready to get things kicked off.
No, I think we can jump on in. Just a quick note, this will be recorded, so it'll be made available on our channel out after we complete here today. So if you missed something, don't worry, but try to follow along with us. Rohan is great, and we look forward to teaching you some awesome skills about Flutter.
So one more thing, we're also going to have a Google Classroom. I'm going to put the link below. So Rohan is going to be answering any questions. Those videos are also going to be available on the Classroom. So sign up, subscribe, make sure to collaborate with everybody else. And once you go through the assignments that we put in forward, you'll get some swag from us for the selected ones. And you're also going to onboard you to one of our Discord servers. So stay tuned for all that. That being said, we're going to get out of this, and we're going to give the stage to Rohan.
Cool. This is pretty exciting. We are finally here. We've been talking about this series for a long time, and we have planned quite a lot, and we're finally here. Our beginner's guide to Flutter development, taking you all the way from the basics to the advanced level. So before we even actually begin, this Flutter development series, well, some of you might not even know what Flutter is. So before we begin, what is Flutter? So let's have a look. Now, look at the screen here. You see an iPhone on the left, an Android phone in the middle, and a laptop, just a normal laptop. Now, what do you see in common out of all of these three? Now, you might be thinking that, hey, they're not common at all. There's an iPhone and Android, mobiles and laptops, they're not common at all. Well, there's one thing that all of them share, and that's the screen. Now, when you turn on the screen, you could have something totally different. Like this iPhone could be running iOS, this Android phone could be running this Android phone could be running Android, and finally the laptop could be running Windows 10, right? But there's one thing that all of these devices share, and that's the screen. So Flutter is this cross-platform framework that I like to define it as it doesn't build apps for the platform, but it builds apps for the screen. So now when you power all these devices down, you have just one common element called the screen, and that's what we're going to build. We don't care, are we building for iOS, Android? We don't care about that. We're only going to build for the screen. So that's just in general. Flutter is cross-platform. We spoke about that. Next, I like this quite a lot, is freedom of development environment. All of you can use Android Studio, VS Code, anything that you prefer. So it's development environment agnostic. Flutter is extremely quick, brings you these amazing features called hot reload, hot restart, and many more that helps you build apps and get it out there in much less time as compared to native development strategies. And finally, well, if this wasn't easy, then why would we even be doing it? Flutter is extremely easy to learn. So you all will find that if you have learned some native development, let's say Android or iOS development before, Flutter is extremely quick to pick on. So you will find yourself learning and going on this journey quite quickly. Let's have a look at some example apps. So I have here some GIFs of some apps that usually are displayed in many Flutter presentations. So you can see how you get pixel perfect UIs. And now this, just by looking at it, it seems quite hard to implement in native development strategies. So I do a lot of Android development, and I can tell you that this is next to impossible. I put it up there, next to impossible. The first three especially, and the last one, it can be done on native development and on Flutter, but Flutter makes it easy. Well, you might be thinking that, hey, we have seen some GIFs here of some presentation apps. Do you want to show a GIF of an app that you have made? Now you're talking so much about Flutter. Do you even use it, Rohan? Well, I sure do. And I'm going to show you a GIF of one Flutter app that I've made for an organization here at LSU. And this GIF, this GIF doesn't seem to be working. It's not moving. This is a bit of a problem here. Or hold on a second there. Is it really a problem? Is it really a GIF that I'm playing here? Well, big switcheroo, big surprise there. It's not a GIF. It's an actual Flutter app. I wasn't showing you just a GIF. Come on, I'm going to show you the actual Flutter app that's running on this laptop. It's being rendered live, so this is an actual Flutter app that's running. So just to help students find departments, so this is an actual Flutter app. Now you might be thinking that, hey, you're running a Flutter app here, but how can you run Flutter apps in Google Slides? Well, that's another big surprise there. This isn't a Google Slides presentation. This also is a Flutter app. So we've got this Flutter app running inside our presentation Flutter app. Flutter is extremely generic. I made this for iOS, Android, and mobile, and we are going to build the same thing, kind of the same idea that we build for the screen rather than for the platform. And you can go on. You can have this apps within apps. Another example of a dog breeds app that I made long ago. Well, that's long ago. Well, I just wanted to show you that you can build Flutter apps for the screen rather than for the platform. So I hope you found that surprising. Yes, I'm seeing some of the comments. This is insane. Yes, someone said I might have died. Well, we have a CPR on call. Just don't worry. If it's really true, then you should hear sirens right now. Ambulances are coming by. Well, if we can just get back to the real presentation. So this was just a quick introduction, and now we get on to finally starting our beginner's guide to Flutter development. So let's begin. Now, before we actually begin, I should say that I'm going to talk about some just things that I in general about Flutter, but it's highly recommended you download Android Studio and all of these three if you want, but mainly Android Studio. Since this takes a lot of time to download, it's an almost 800 MB plus file. So be sure to download Android Studio so you can and install it too. It's a very easy installation. We'll go over it together, but it's nice if you have it installed already. So let's begin. Now, to build Flutter apps, there are a few requirements, right? First thing is IDE, a Flutter SDK, a computer of your preference, and emulators. We'll talk about each of these four. Now, first, an IDE of your choice. Oh, by the way, before this, I totally forgot. Our computer of our preference. So Madhusha might have mentioned it, and we mentioned it in some of the advertisements, and you might have heard of it, is on Windows, you can do Android development. However, on the Mac, you can do both. So on Windows, so if you want to develop iOS apps, sadly, you can't do it on Windows. So you would need like a Mac device. So it could be like a Mac, like whatever Mac device, MacBook Pro, or whatever, to build an iOS apps. So I just wanted to mention a little bit about some workarounds around this problem. This is not the official way. However, if you can get your hands on a Mac OS virtual machine, so using VirtualBox, there are some custom Mac images on the web. It's not the official way, so if you want to experiment a little bit, you can do that. So you can build iOS apps on your Windows system. Or the second way is buy a cheap Mac device. Well, this is pun intended, of course. Cheap Mac device. Mac devices are pretty expensive. However, there's one thing that I want to mention is you can even get something for $800, which is expensive, but it's cheaper from what they have to offer. So I just wanted to briefly mention this in case just so we are on the same page. Now let's get started. First thing is what IDE we're going to be using. So before we begin on what IDE we're going to be using, let's talk about what an IDE is. So IDE, if you aren't familiar with it, it's integrated development environment. In layman's terms, it's a group of all tools that you need to build software. So it could be a text editor, your debugger, in our case, it would be emulators, and all these suite of tools. So some examples are.
Ron, sorry to interrupt. What about
Yeah.
Linux? We got a question about Linux.
That's a good question. So for Linux too, you can only build for Android. Sadly, you would need a Mac to build for iOS. That's a good question. I did not mention Linux, but yes, we mainly talk about like Windows, and you can almost assume. So whenever I use Windows, we can almost it's almost synonymous with Linux. So everything would work roughly the same. Good question. So yeah, some common IDs that you might have heard of. What ID we are going to be using? So for Windows, you can use either Android Studio, VS Code, so Visual Studio Code, or any of the IDEs that you want. For Mac, you get something extra. So an IDE called Xcode. So Xcode is something that you would use to build native iOS apps. And you would need Xcode to have an iOS emulator. So Xcode is only available for Mac, and that's why we can't test our apps that we build using Flutter on iOS emulators using our Windows laptop or Windows computer. So just to mention that, so we Android Studio and VS Code, that's mostly the options that we're going to be using, right? We can't develop, we can't test our apps on the like on iOS devices. We would need a Mac for that. So in order to make this series for everyone, we're going to be just coding and doing all our work throughout the series in Android Studio or Visual Studio Code. We're going to be alternating between it. Like you could use anyone that you prefer. And we're also going to be using Android emulators. So we aren't going to be testing for iOS. However, those who have Macs, you could do that. So, but just so we're casting a wider net. We know many people are going to come, so we're going to do it for Android. Now, second part, our Flutter SDK. SDK, Software Development Kit, is all the tools that you need to develop for that specific platform. So these are some terms that I'm mentioning as we advertise the series to even beginners. So we want to make sure that everyone is on the same page. So some common SDKs are the Flutter SDK, the Android SDK. Now, usually SDKs, they come installed when we download our IDE, which we just spoke about before. However, yeah, we're going to be using the Flutter SDK. However, our Flutter is IDE agnostic. You could use any IDE that you want. Hence, we'll have to explicitly install it. It doesn't come installed. So you might have. So we'll talk more about this. Yes. So computer for preference and emulators. So again, for Windows, only Android emulators. For Mac, you can even use iOS emulators. Now, let's start to begin our Flutter SDK setup. And by the way, you can keep your questions rolling in. I'm just going, covering them covering the slides, and we're going to be live coding too. So Madhusha, if any question comes in, if you can interrupt me and let me know, and we could discuss that. Cool. So first thing, let's start to set up our Flutter SDK. So if all of you can go to this link, flutter.dev/docs. So it's a little long link, flutter.dev/docs/get-started/install. So you can even like Google search it, and it's one of the top results. So this is, and then once you click on this link, so choose the platform of your choice. We're going to be doing this together, so don't worry. So I'm going to be going to this link and choose the platform of your choice. So Windows or Mac, and if you use Linux or Chrome OS. So I'm going to be choosing Windows. And here they have this list or this instruction set of what you have to do to get Flutter to work. So just download the zip file. So this contains the Flutter SDK, which is this group of tools that you would need. Yeah, still have the WhatsApp open. So this is, as I said, it's a large file. So you could install it, and it could take some time. I have a fast internet connection, so it gets done quickly. I even have a backup just in case it doesn't install on time. And you could download this file, and once it's done, we could actually open it in our downloads. It's a zip file, and you can unzip it. Now to save, so the unzipping of this takes some time. So you could take your time and unzip it, and just have this folder ready. We're going to get back to what to do with it once it's unzipped. So once you click extract all, you would unzip it, and that takes some time. So be sure to do that, and have that file, the unzipped version, ready, right? Next, head back over into the presentation. And yeah, and so what to do next?
We got a few questions very quickly.
Yes.
Yes. Are there any VS Code extensions that you can recommend for Flutter?
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely, yes. Good questions, all of you. So we are going to talk about setting up VS Code 2 and download all the Flutter and the Dart extensions. So yes, it's going to come. We're going to discuss that.
We got another one very quickly. Yes. I'm using Windows and I wanted to test an app on my physical iPhone. Would I be able to run Mac OS on VirtualBox and connect my iPhone to my computer? Or is there another way?
A good question. So I haven't tested the virtual machine as much. However, I do know that you can test it on a Mac OS emulator inside that virtual machine. That you can do. I'm not sure if you can connect your Mac device to your Windows physical system, and will the virtual machine read it? So that I'm not sure. However, I'm sure that you can download an iOS emulator on that virtual machine, and that should run. Good question. Good questions. Yes. Anything else? Good.
Yeah, that's it for now.
Nice. Yes. And yes, thank you, Madhusha. And just interrupt me at any point. And sometimes I don't realize what I'm doing. So like maybe if something's not clear, feel free to put the questions in the comment section, and Madhusha will interrupt me and let me know, and we'll discuss it. Cool. And once you extract it, these two steps will cover it together. So don't worry. So now let's set up our IDE, which someone asked, and that's what we're going to do now. So we need to download Android Studio, and if you have downloaded it, in the beginning we mentioned, so if you have a head start, that's nice. You can head over to developer.android.com/studio. Now, why are we downloading Android Studio? Now, Android Studio is our IDE, our integrated development environment. So it contains the text editor, our debuggers, and our emulators, our Android emulators. So we're going to be using Android Studio as our primary IDE, like for the series. Actually, pseudo primary. We are going to, since Android Studio and VS Code, they run like almost the same. Like there's almost no difference in the terms of developing Flutter apps. So like you could choose whichever one you prefer, right? So head over to this website and click on download Android Studio. Now this is a large file, so yes, accept everything. And this is 872 MBs, so it's a large file, so it takes time. So you can have this running in the background, and or if you have downloaded it before, then well and good. And then if you can proceed with the installation, that's nice. Like we're going to go like through the installation now with all of you, so don't worry about that. And even if your download isn't completed by now, don't worry. The installation is rather straightforward, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And it's almost done. And show it in the folder. Yeah. So I'll just briefly walk you through the installation of Android Studio. And so I won't completely go to the end since I already have Android Studio installed, but we'll go all the way till as far as we can. So, and by the way, yes, if you're wondering, Android Studio is for both, for iOS, for Mac and Windows. So you should have this installed. So I won't check this box. So just you can proceed with the defaults. Next, next, and be sure to select this Android virtual device. So this is will give you all like the emulator setup. So you don't have to download any custom emulators from the internet or from other sources. So be sure to check that box, and an installation location, keep it as it is, and then click on next again. And now I won't click on install, but once you click install, you should have Android Studio installed, and there won't be too many problems. So it's a very straightforward installation. So if there's anything, put in the chats and I could try to help you out. So that's it for Android Studio. So again, Android Studio, it's an IDE. It contains text editor and your emulator setup, which is what we would need for developing our Flutter apps. Cool? All right. Yes, we want to cancel it. And hopefully you even have your you have unzipped your Flutter SDK. So again, I'm just throwing this jargon is something to get used to. So I'm trying to repeat it as far as possible. So your Flutter SDK that you just downloaded before, that zipped folder, by now it should be unzipped. So so we can set it up. So just have that ready. Once you've installed it, we will work over downloading the Flutter and Dart plugins. So don't worry about that. Next, now this step is optional. This is only for people who want to use VS Code. So the reason I say this is most of us, or most of you at least, would prefer VS Code for developing Flutter apps. VS Code is something we would use for most of the other development that we have, like web development. It's a very generic editor. So if you want to download and use VS Code for developing Flutter apps, head over to this website, code.visualstudio.com/download, and choose the platform of your choice. So I will choose Windows, and it will directly download the installer for us. So you can head over to the download. This is a small download here. And let's refresh, and here it is. So again, everything is straightforward. Yes, I have some Visual Studios running here. So sure, let's close them. So that's causing a problem. And now let's try to run this. Accept the agreement. Next. Yes, be sure to add this path, and so like it could help you out in the future. And if you want to create a desktop icon, you can go with all of these, but path it could help you in the future. So just have that set up. Basically just leave the defaults. They have already set up, configured this installer in ways that are that will work for everyone. So we can just leave it to the defaults and install, and that should have it installed. So if you're curious what this means, is if you have any command lines open, so you can you'll have to restart that to have the changes reflect in your command line. But we don't have it open, so you can ignore this and click on install, and that should work. Nice. So we are all on the same page. Yeah, that's a future step. The 3 things that you should have installed. Let me actually show it, so we all know what we need. An IDE. So by now you should Android Studio is required. So by now you should have Android Studio installed. Your Flutter SDK should be unzipped. So that zip file, you should have it unzipped and ready. And if you alternatively VS Code, if you want to use VS Code, so you can download that too. Cool. And you should have it installed for whichever system you want. And emulators is something that we'll set up after we have set up our IDEs and all the setup in our IDE. So now you can head over to the folder where you unzip your Flutter stuff. So this folder, if you go in through the hierarchy, keep clicking in, you would notice this set of all these files here, right? This is all the files that define or all the like these are all the files that you need to develop your Flutter apps. Now, once you reach this folder, click on this flutter console.bat. So when you click on it, this is yes. And if you get some error or some warning like this, click on more info and run anyway. So you should bypass that security feature because we trust this. Now, this takes you to the command line where this Flutter, you can call it the .exe file. This Flutter like SDK is like you can run it. So in general, when you download some new platform or some new SDK, you could do something like Flutter version, right? And if this works, that means like you have it set up correctly. So you should have something like this. So an antivirus is stopping it. So I think we'll just okay, allow for now. Let's just get this out of the way. Okay, right. And if you get something like this, some output like this, that means so far everything's working. So that's one step that you can check. Now, next command you can run here in this command line is flutter doctor. This is something common that you would hear from everyone, is just to set up if your Flutter is installed correctly. And if you have something that's not installed correctly, it will let you know. So Flutter doctor, let's run that and let's see what output we get. So it has told us that one is like something to do with Android, and second thing is our plugins. So this is what I try to say. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to link this SDK that we downloaded with the IDEs. So again, SDK, tools to build your Flutter apps. IDE, the text editor, your emulators, and all of that. Cool. So let's start to fix these two problems.
So Rohan, before we jump into that, we got a few more questions coming in.
Yes.
Okay. So once I'm unzipped, we can delete the zipped one, right? Since we already have it extracted. Yes.
Yes. Nice question.
Give me 1 second. I think I had it here.
Yes.
Okay, it just went through fast.
Yeah. No, this is nice. This is very
Yeah. Also, we see that some of our current members and others jumping in and answering this question. So
amazing.
Yeah. Keep going. Keep going.
Perfect. So thanks for those who are jumping in, and it's nice to see that the community involvement. So thanks for doing it. Cool. So now, so we're on the same page. We have so if you get this to work, that means your Flutter SDK, your setup is complete. It's done. Now, there's something is that this will only work when you click on this flutter underscore console.bat. So in this command line, that's only when Flutter will run. To solve that problem, so you can minimize this or close it, you'll have to include this path in something called an environment variable. So on Windows, you can just search for something called environment variables. Click on the first option, let's edit the system environment variables. And I already have it set up, so let me close it. So you should get something like this, and then click on environment variables. Now you should get something like this. Now under system variables, scroll all the way to this variable called path. So once you click on path, click on edit, and you should see this list of all paths that you have. So you can click on new, and before you do that, actually copy this path. So actually not this one. Double click on the bin folder. So this bin is like contains this Flutter executable file that you can use. Copy this path and add new and save this here. Okay. Okay, and then yeah, just keep clicking OK and exit this. Now this step, what do we do now is you can run Flutter Doctor or all these Flutter commands from even outside of this outside of this command line that they give you, right? This is needed in the future. Great, we have this this setup. Now we can even access our SDK from outside. Now let us set up our IDEs. Now, so first thing is click on Android Studio. So you should get like a page something like this. If you have Android Studio set up from before, so you can click on the top left. Since you won't get this page if you have Android Studio set up before, click on the top left, and you should see File and then Settings. And so if you are new to Android Studio, you can click on Configure and Settings. If you have Android Studio installed from before, then File on the top left and then Settings, right? Now expand this plugins part of the settings, and then be sure to have your Dart and Flutter plugins installed. Search for it. So what does plugins do? Plugins, think of it as a way to interpret your Flutter code. So this is like again provided officially to us. So once you install it and set it up, your code that you write in your IDE will be think of it like it will be interpreted as Flutter code, and it will give you some helpful tools. It's a tool set. Think of it as a tool set, right? Next is Dart. So the Dart plugin, this is think of it as a way to interpret the Dart language. So it gives you these helpful tools that we'll see in the future. So this will help you to interpret this Dart language. And what is Dart language, you ask? This Dart is a language that we use to build our Flutter apps, right? So download and install this plugin too. This is very quick, so this shouldn't take too long. And let me head back over to the settings. So once that's done, in the install section, you should have both of these installed and check it. So yes, let me check it. So be sure to have it checked. That way you can, like it's enabled. The check means it's enabled. Cool. Click on OK. And that's it. You're done. Your Android Studio, you have downloaded Android Studio. And now you have the Flutter plugin checked. If you have done everything correctly, then you should see this Start a New Flutter Project button here. If you see this, that means your like everything is complete. So you have got it complete till here. Nice.
Rohan.
Yes.
You want to slow down and take a few questions? There's a few who are left behind.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How are things going? Please submit your question.
Yeah. So yes, I am. Yeah, I sometimes I lose track and I go a little too quickly. So yes, Madhusha, you moderate me, and questions, put them in the chat section, and Madhusha will let me know, and I'll answer those.
Okay, so I'm waiting for any questions, anything that you guys got stuck with.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a question.
Yes, nice.
Wait. When I type in Flutter version, it says Flutter isn't recognized as an internal or external command.
Yes, that's good. So what you must be doing is you must be running it on like you might not be clicking on this. You might be running it on the command line, like on your normal command line. So to get your integrated command line, let me go a little slowly. Type CMD in the search and click on this. So you must be running Flutter Doctor from here, and then you must not have you might not have your environment variable set up. So one thing is, if that doesn't work, it's fine. You can just ignore it for now, and hopefully that shouldn't cause too much problems for today's session at least. In the future, if it causes, we can fix it. But so for now, you can. So Flutter, yeah. So try running it from here and it should work. Yes.
I think the other thing is there's a few Mac users here too. So
Mac users.
right. So I think what we can do is if you're on the classroom, definitely start a thread, and one of us would be able to jump and help out. Somebody also asked the order of installation. So for example, you don't need the IDE installed to have Flutter installed. You can do it vice versa, if I'm correct, if I hear it correct.
Very good question. So these are some good questions. Yes, they aren't dependent. So Flutter is it's platform agnostic, you can say. So everything can be done independently and in any order. Nice.
We got another question.
Uh-huh.
My Flutter console was opened by VS Code by default, but I couldn't get it running in the terminal.
Oh, I see. So when you click on this, so this should most probably work if you once you unzipped. So the unzipped version. So might be if you are checking some wrong file, Flutter, and then run this, and it should work. The command line. If you get a warning message, then click on more info and then click on run anyway. Maybe that is some. I'm just trying some troubleshooting things. Hopefully it helps.
Yeah, let's start. Also, ping us on the classroom, create a thread. We're happy to jump in. And Faith says you're such a great instructor. Keep going. So good job, Ron.
Yes. Thank you for the comments, and yeah, thank you. So yes, here's is the we have this. So now to confirm.
Yeah, so one quick tip for everybody is you can always rewind the live video if you get stuck, and then you can catch up after. So keep that in mind.
Absolutely, yes. You can rewind, and so if you miss something, you can check it out, and also ask questions. So hopefully, I'll try to answer those. Cool. So now, to confirm, you must have those two plugins enabled, and if you have done that, your Android Studio is set up. Nice. Next, this is only for people who want to use VS Code. So if you want to use VS Code, open VS Code, you should get something like this. So not exactly this. So I've actually opened a project, but you should get something similar to this, like an empty folder here. Click on. Let me actually close all. So click on this where you see these 4 boxes, you can say, and this is your extensions that you have. So 2 extensions that you would need is the same Flutter. So be sure to install and enable this. So it should say enable globally. This is very quick. So this would be done almost instantly. Flutter, and then the next plugin that you would need is Dart. Right? Just the same thing what we did in Android Studio. So the same thing here in Dart. So download and enable it. So this is again. So this is what's needed to interpret the code that you would write in like these. For instance, this like Dart file. How would you interpret it, and some tools? So you need those plugins, right? So that's very quick. So you can have that installed. Nice. Now you have set up all the code part of it. Now you might be getting like, hey Rohan, you are getting us through all the setup, but can we start development? Yes, we absolutely can. It's finally time to start our development. So so we'll even talk about setting up the emulator and the physical device, but first let us let's start to write some code, and then to run it, we'll run it on an emulator. So first thing is some principles of Flutter before we even dive into writing actual Flutter apps. You'll hear this very often. Is everything is composed of widgets. So this is very important. Everything in Flutter is a widget. You can have widgets within widgets, which is just what I did in the presentation in the beginning. I had that the app running within an app. So an app is also a widget. Everything you see here in this hierarchy, which is something that you can get in Android Studio, is a widget. So this material app, it's a widget. Scaffold, it's a widget. So app bar, text, everything that's here is a widget. And then you can have hierarchies. So widgets, within other widgets. So this is a very important term. It's everything is within widgets. This is the first thing. Second thing is you would get these two amazing features called hot reload and hot restart. So hot reload, when you make any change to your code, you can see it update in almost real time. Hot restart, you can see it update in a little longer because it resets the state. So it's like start from a clean slate, but that just takes hardly any time, 5 to 20 seconds, which is very, very less as compared to native development when you do a restart there. Cool. To show you this in action, this is the app that we're going to build. So you can see how quickly we can. So we just wrote some text here, hello world. To have it centered, we clicked on hot reload now, and it instantly brought it to the center. We're going to do this together, so don't worry. Yeah, we changed this text to my name, hello Rohan. We changed the color to green. We did hot reload instantly. You can see it change on your app, right? So just wanted to show you this. Now let's start coding. Now I know that some people might not have had Android Studio and VS Code set up. Problems arise. We all understand that. So instead of that, you can use one cool tool online called Dartpad. So head over to dartpad.dev, and I'll head over there now. You get this this code stuff here. So whatever you type here, if you click on run, you can actually run your Flutter apps, at least the very basic ones, which is today's app is very basic, right? Just to get started with Flutter, you can run it and see the output here. You don't need any IDE. You don't need any of the tools that we just said. But this is not the good for larger apps. But this is just for today. If you have some problems, you can set it up later just to follow along. You can write all the code here. Cool. Now let's start to write a Flutter code. So if you are in Android Studio, click on Start a new Flutter project. Click on Flutter application. And if you want to do it in VS Code, don't worry, I'll show you that too. Flutter application, next. Now, for your project name, you can select any name that you want. The general convention is, and it's not like a rule, it's just a convention that we like to follow, is all small letters, and spaces will be represented with an underscore. So what we're going to do is we're going to name this Hello World, which is the app that we're going to build today. And I will save this. So in the project location, this is important now, the project location, since not really important, but it's good to know. Yeah, let it load. So choose like a preferred place for you. So I'm going to choose a new folder here called Live Apps. And within this folder, choose the root folder of your choice and click on OK. And now I have this set up, but you might not have this set up. So be sure to, wherever you install Flutter, right? You remember this folder, we always are using this, the root folder, not the bin, but the root folder. Copy the path if it isn't already there and paste it here. Paste it here. Description, leave it as it is. Should not contain white space, so let's change this to project location shouldn't. Yes.
We got a few more questions coming in. So this is Rafa's question. I have my emulator running, but I can't see it under the devices drop down. And when I run Flutter Doctor, it says no devices are available.
So
to add more context, he says he's running it through Android Visual Studio.
I think. So
no.
Yes. So one thing is, I assume it's the official one that you get like from Android Studio. If you do that way, it should appear. And don't worry, we'll cover that. So you can do the setup again. We haven't covered the emulator part now. So we'll cover the emulator part too. So hopefully you can follow along, and hopefully that fixed the problem. Yes, because it should work. So there must be some small error here and there, which we'll try to fix. Yes. Any other questions?
No, that's it for now.
Cool. Also, this is just like a warning, so we can just leave it as it is. Domain, just put any domain here. It doesn't matter. Usually the default one which you might have is example.com. But if you have a website, you can just type your name here. It doesn't matter. This is just to create something called a package name. Again, we won't. For now, you can just leave it as it is. Nice. Then when you click on finish, it will create this project for us, and we can start to develop our apps. So it loads it in Android Studio, and it creates this default app. So if you notice, it takes you to this file called main.dart, right? And if you scroll, there's already some template code here. So Flutter by default, when you create a project, it gives you this template app. So it gives you this template app. So let us run this app and let's see how it works. And then we'll delete everything and build the app that we want, right? That's our plan. So before we begin, let's actually show how to do it for VS Code also. So for VS Code, if you want to do for VS Code, open a new so I'll open a new folder, a new window, and open a new folder here. So within that, I'll select one, select it, and click select folder. And now you should have this empty folder here. If you have the command line set up, so control and, or you can click on terminal and new terminal. If you have something like this, and then your app name, so hello world, and enter. And this is important to use this Flutter. You should add that Flutter to your environment variables before. So I don't want to confuse you too much. If it doesn't work here, you can switch over to Android Studio. If it doesn't work here, you can head over to Dartpad, and we can go along there. So I hope this helps. Now, yes, so you should have this folder here. Now, within Android Studio or within VS Code, here's a hierarchy. All of our code is going to be in a folder called lib. So your root folder, lib, and then main.dart. Very straightforward hierarchy. Here, your root folder, which is hello world, lib, main.dart. Double click. The same code is going to appear here. This template app that we have. Now to run this app that we have, this template app, let us now talk about how to set up our emulator. So today's is a lot about setting up. So just hang in there, ask any questions, and let's try to sort this out. Then we can get to writing our app for today, our hello world. So steps now. Yes, briefly over this, there are two ways to test our apps. So we're going to talk only about Android, but it even extends to iOS. So for Mac users, you can do it for iOS. Two ways: physical devices and emulators. Physical device, as someone had asked, can we connect their physical device to their laptop and have it run in that virtual machine for Mac? Well, basically, what that person was mentioning is using a USB cable. Right, you have your phone, and using the USB cable, you can connect it to the USB port on your laptop and have it work there. So we're going to talk about how to set this up. The second way is using an emulator. So if you don't have an Android device, if you don't have an Android device, you can use an emulator, which is like a virtual machine. So it's an actual phone that runs on your computer. So we're going to set this up also. Some brief things. Some brief things is physical device is, it's an actual device. So it's like a little more accurate, but emulators are almost 100% accurate. So it's fine. Like you can use any one of those. First things first, let us set up our emulator so we can run that template app that we have. So head over to Tools, AVD Manager, or click on this this phone with an Android sign there. So let me do it. Tools and AVD Manager, or this button here. Now I have some devices set up here, but since if you haven't, click on Create Virtual Device. Now choose any one of these. I'm just going to keep the defaults, Pixel 2. Preferably choose a one that has this play sign, display button sign, display store sign. Next, under the image, so you might not have an image downloaded, but you can just choose any one of these images here. Couple of things in the slides which I want to cover. Create virtual device. Choose one of this. When you're choosing your image, a higher API level means a newer version of Android, which means it would demand higher resources from your system. So if you have it will make your PC much slower. So if you have a slow PC, better take an API with a lower API level. You can always change this in the future, but I'm just saying it for now. So if you have a slow PC, try to choose a low API level, so an older version of Android that demands less resources. If you have a newer PC, choose a higher API level one, which is a newer version. Just wanted to mention that.
Rohan, we got a few more questions already.
Yes.
For those who want the links to all these tools he's talking about, it's in the YouTube description. So even the that link, that's there. And this question is,
yes,
how do you set up an emulator if you don't have a phone?
Yes, good question. So emulator, you can set it up without the phone. So if you don't have any physical device, we can use an emulator. So we can use an emulator without a phone.
Yeah. And another question, are you going to show the same procedure on Dartpad as well?
Yes, so on Dartpad, it's already done. So the good thing with Dartpad is you don't need to set up anything. You can just write the code here and click on the play button, and you should see it run. So for Dartpad, it's set up. Now, oh yes, you might be asking is how I got this code. This code is we have to write it by ourselves. Like this, so we'll write this code today, and we'll do it. You can do it in Dartpad. We'll do it in the IDE. So this will come up with this code. So don't worry. But no setup is required for the Dartpad.
Awesome.
Cool. Yes. So keep the questions coming in, and we can answer those. So choose any image of your choice, and click on Next. Choose any default name, and click on Finish. So the emulator will set up, and you can click on Finish. I won't create a new one. I'll use the one that I already have. So once you click on Finish, it should appear in this list. And if you click this play icon, once you click on it, you should get, this is the whole app. You should get the like an actual phone here. So to answer the previous question, you don't need an actual physical device to get this emulator here. It just like this is an actual phone that you can run. You can rotate, and yes, the home screen doesn't rotate. So, but it's an accurate Android experience, right? This is for setting up our emulator. So quickly, if anyone has a physical device, a physical Android device, you can. Oh yes. To run it, there are two ways to run it. One is by clicking on AVD Manager and then clicking on any one of these play buttons, or you can select this drop-down menu. Oh yes, sorry. This is only for you can see if your device doesn't appear here, then start it from this AVD manager here, and then it should appear in this drop down. So you should see something like this: Android SDK built for, this is your emulator that you just created. For the same can be done for VS Code. However, for VS Code, you have to set up the emulator here in Android Studio first. So I hope I'm not confusing you. Create the emulator here in Android Studio. Since Android Studio is official, like it's by Google, so they have already provided these official emulators. Now, in VS Code, click on this bottom over here, and then you should select the emulator of your choice, which is this one. So I'm choosing this one, Pixel 2 API 29, right? Which is this one, which I displayed and I started it. Yes, select that emulator, and when you click on this play button, run and debug, so click on the play button, run and debug, you should see the app load on the phone. So here you should see this launching, and it does some build. And now for Android Studio, select the device and click on the play button. And so I'll just build it with one since it's the same phone. So you should see this. This process takes about 30 to 50 seconds. The first start always takes about 30 to 50. Then subsequent hot restarts or hot reloads takes hardly 3 to 5 seconds. So you should be good with that. So don't know why this came, but it's still going on. So let's wait for it to load. Once this is done, we should have run our first Flutter app. This is the template. So we haven't even covered actual Flutter coding. So we're going to cover that. So we're just doing the setup. I mean, we're just running the template app now on our device, on our emulator. And if you have a physical device, we'll even set that up. So let's go step by step. And yep, should get the tick mark, and everything should be fine. And if it doesn't work, don't fret, don't stress about it too much. You have Dartpad for a day, and in the classroom you can ask me, and one of us. It's a very active community, so someone will help you out, so don't worry. So if you got this app to run on the emulator, congratulations, this is your first Flutter app. So it's a very good step. So this is a very simple app that has a counter. You can click on plus, the counter increases in number, and that's it. So this is your first Flutter app. We did not write any of these codes, so this could seem overwhelming at first. Don't worry, we're going to break down every bit of it so you would know what each part of the code does. All right. So to refresh, you have a template app, you ran it on our emulator. Now, if you want to run it on the physical device, we are nearing the end of the setup, so don't worry, I won't bore you with this too much. We'll actually get hands-on. So first step, connect your physical device via USB cable to your laptop. Then head over to the settings of your Android phone. So under settings, you should see something similar to something called About Phone, right? So different phones have different companies of phones. They have different settings. So click on this thing called About Phone. Then tap on Build Number. Within that, tap on Build Number 7 times. So this is to enable your phone to run these apps, these Flutter apps, or these Android Studio apps. Like, I mean, even for Android, you would do the same method. For native Android, for Flutter, you do the same method. You're enabling your phone to run your apps. So click on Build Number 7 times. Then click on the back button. And now, apart from About Phone, you should also see this option called Developer Options. Now, this would be hidden if you don't click on Build Number 7 times. So now you should see this. You should tap on Build Number 7 times to see this. Click on it. So scroll down and enable this option called USB debugging. So click on USB debugging, enable it. Once this is enabled, if everything is done correctly, and if everything is hopefully working fine, you should see it pop up in Android Studio in this list here, and in VS Code in this list here. So this SM, that's my phone name that I've connected here. So you should hopefully see yours here. And if not, just give it some time. Maybe it's the first time, so it could take some time. And if you don't see it, don't worry, we'll set this up later. For now, you can use DarkPad. Cool. So if there are any questions, put in the chat section, and Madhusha can interrupt me now or later if there are any questions. But now is the interesting part. We actually get to start writing our code.
Actually, do you
So,
want to
yes, some questions, yes.
See if they have any questions about the setup. I know Dalton is helping through other issues. Thank you for doing that. Here we get one, select one. Why does it, what is not applicable? What? Yeah. But
Yes.
Can you see the question, by the way? What on the display here? Why does
not
applicable for the main.dart configuration? I think this is during the setup. You just have
yes. Or one way is if you can Slack it to me, maybe I can see the question that way.
Okay, 1 second.
Yes.
By the way, yeah, if you have any other questions with the setup, please share it now so we can get it answered before we move on to the next section.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, yes. Please put it now. So, because now we're going to move into the actual coding, and it's good if you can have it set up by then. And if not, don't worry. Again, to reiterate, DarkPad is there. You can do it there.
Rohan, also maybe we need to increase the visibility a little bit, zoom in a little bit, so they can see what you're doing.
Of this VS Code here, sure. Let's.
Once you start typing.
Yeah, once I start typing, yes. Yes, font size good. So I'll keep it to 18. Or sure, turn it on. Oh, so okay, it improved here. So let's. Markdown. Oh, so debug. Oh, I see. So this we can keep it to 18. There should be one font size for screen class. So I've not changed it here ever. So it's my first time I'm seeing it. So editor font size. Yep, this should work. And yep, 18 should be fine. Yes. Also, if you can select the question, so I can see it, and we can go from there, if possible. And hopefully next time we can have like a proper setup, everyone, so I can even see your questions and answer those quickly.
Yeah, I think we're gonna move once we kickstart the Discord. Things will be much simpler. So stay tuned for that. Rohan, we're good to go.
Good to go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect, everyone. So those who have the IDE set up and you want to do it here, can head over to the IDE or head over to DarkPad and delete all the code. So we're going to code everything from scratch and understand every line of code. So I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code, and you can use Android Studio. Everything is the same. For Android Studio Code, for Android Studio, head over to the main.dart file, and I'll minimize everything else. And this is how it should appear, right? So for examples, I will show it in VS Code, but it's the same for both. And I'll open the emulator on the side and delete all the lines of code. We're going to code everything from scratch. First things first, we need a main method. So void main. This is your main method that will be run every time your Flutter app has to launch. You'll have to run this method called main method. within this, there's like a custom method that's provided called run app. This run app method, it will take a widget, and this widget will just call it my app. So what this is, we'll talk about it soon. Let's close this. And if it gives you an error here, you can click on it and then control dot, and then be sure to import material dot. So if you're on Android, if you're on Android, let me actually copy this. The shortcut which I wanted to show you is different. So control dot for VS Code, and for Android Studio it's alt enter. And click on import material dot. And if you're in Dart code, just copy this from here into Dart code. Nice. Now, what is this my app? So run app, we're going to run some app. Let us define what app we're going to run. So a few lines of space and type in here STL. So this is like, I'm just going into extreme basics because we advertise this for beginners. So just hang in there if you already know this. And once you're on the same page, we'll speed up. Don't worry. And also, if you're beginners, don't worry. Will even cater for you. So STL, this is a shortcut for creating something called a stateless widget. So what it is, what's a stateless widget? We'll talk about it later. But you can get this lines of code for free. Android Studio, same thing. Here we can type in my app. So problem is solved. Now this is like the way Dart code looks. So inside the build method, you'll have to return something. So for now, instead of container, return something called material app. So material app is this widget. Everything is a widget. So material app is this widget that encompasses or encapsulates everything that's there in your app. So you're creating like containers, like your material app is one capsule that contains everything. Now, what's inside this app? That is defined by something called home. So you will get used to this jargon, so don't worry. Home is what's inside your app. Now within this, let's create another widget. Here, let us create text. So type in text and close, but before this, if you want, you can actually run this app and see how it looks. So if you have your emulator set up here, tap Control S, which is to save on both Android Studio and VS Code. When you click Control S, you're performing a hot reload. Or if you get an error, yes. So type in your home and text. And within the text, just put in an empty string for now. So Control S, and now this problem should be solved. You get this plain blank screen. So within the text, you can type here like hello world. And Control S, this is the thing that I was saying, hot reload. You can click on this thunder sign, Control S. It should appear on the screen in less than 5 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds. I can change this to something else. It updates here. Now you might be wondering, let me Control S, yeah. Why is it appearing a little weirdly? So in order to have it like appear like proper text, right? Like in our app that we wanted, something like this in a proper text, and to get this white background, there's one cool widget that you can use is something called a scaffold. So this text now, we'll wrap it within something called, so this is something new that we're covering, something called a scaffold. So you can delete in all these lines. For practice, delete it or Control X to save it. Instead of like a home should now point to a widget called scaffold. Now within scaffold, so it's like a hierarchy. Within scaffold is a property called body. So click on body, and within body, here you can type in text, and within text, you can have this empty string. And now if you press Control S, you should get this blank white screen. So this is like a cool thing. And now you can type any text here. So I don't know if you can hear some sound in the background. I apologize for it. Yeah, some people outside playing loud music. Hope this doesn't affect our session too much. So let's recap what we have. We have a material app. Within that, we have a scaffold, which is what we'll always use. Within that, we have a text widget. Now, within text, we have this text here. Instead of this text, you can type in here something like hello world. Control S. You get hello world printed. To print this in the center of the screen, we're going to wrap this text widget with another widget called scaffold, which let me show you what I mean by that. So this is like what step we want to reach. We want to get this thing called an app bar. Within that, we want to have this text widget. So actually, let's go according to the order that we have here. Let's get this app bar to work. So head over to your editor, and if you're on VS Code, Shift Alt F. That reformats the code for us. Control V, Shift Alt F, and on Android Studio, it is Control Alt L. Again, Control Alt L on Android Studio, and on VS Code, Shift Alt F. You can reformat the code. Now click on this text widget, and on VS Code, Control Dot, and then click on this thing called Wrap with Center. So once you click on it, you notice that like scaffold doesn't directly point to text. Scaffold points to center, points to text. And now if you press Control S, you have this centered on the screen, right? Next, to get this app bar to work, under scaffold, a new line, search for this app bar property. And here you can type in app bar. So with the capital A, so within this, now if you press Control S, you get this app bar. Amazing. I hope you see how easy it is. We just wrote just this much line, like one line of code, and we got this app bar to work. Now, to get the text that we want, hello, let me go back. Hello, my name, right? Hello, Rohan. Inside the text, inside the app bar, so you can click on enter and expand it. Inside that, there's a field called title. Within that, type in the text widget. So this app bar, it needs a widget for showing the title. So within this text, you can write here, hello world. And when you press Control S, it should appear here. And if you're getting confused, so let me change it to hello, my name, and you can change it to yours. And also those who are on Dartpad, and also everyone, the solution, I mean, what code we're going to write here is in the description. So you can check it out there too. It's a GitHub gist. You can copy the code from there. Well, anyway, we have this text here. To change the color of this, under app bar, so within this app bar widget, enter, is a field called color, a background color. And Android, I was say Flutter, it provides this group of already default colors. So to get that, you can type in your colors, like orange.
Rohan,
Like orange. Yes.
You froze there for a quick second, but it's all good. So here's something I just did. I brought Dalton backstage, and I'm going to let me bring you on stage. Hey, Dalton.
Hello.
Hey, so this is the man who's been helping everybody in the backstage on the chat, answering some of the questions. very quickly, you want to highlight what's going on and give some context to Rohan as to where a lot of the students are getting stuck.
Yeah, so I think some of the main things that people are getting hung up on are making sure that the language for both Dart and Flutter is set up. I think Flutter, a couple of people were having trouble with.
I see.
Some of the other things that I was seeing was plugins not being installed. When you go into install the plugins and keeping them updated. And then there were some issues that were specifically with running not having Android licenses.
Running not having Android licenses.
Yeah, so when they're typing Flutter Doctor, it's giving them license issues.
So Rohan, Dalton is sharing his screen because he's been coding along with you as you were explaining things and answering some of the questions from the audience. So I don't know if you can see his screen, which I put on the display right now.
Yes, let me see. So if mine is off, yes, I can. Yes, I can see now.
Yeah, so it's been mostly the problem with the Android licenses, and then that was an issue at one point where it's getting a Java crash.
So that's a good thing. So as long as like all the apps are working so far, this Flutter Doctor thing, we can ignore it if everything else works. So is it working? Like, is your emulator working? Or how is that?
Yes, my emulator is working.
Perfect. Or you might have to start it.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing you brought up. So yes, that Android licenses thing, we can ignore it for now if everything else is working. So that's something that we can ignore for now. Let's see if we can get. Yes, let's try to solve this.
So then the other errors were not having plugins installed, and then Flutter path not being recognized.
Yes, this is a good point you brought up, Dalton. Thank you. So under this Flutter SDK path, be sure to paste the path of the SDK that you downloaded. So in the downloads folder, wherever you have had that. Yes. So I think I can share, if you can share my screen, so I can show something there.
Could we just switch to your screen now?
Yes, actually, there's something I totally skipped my mind is like when you create your Android Studio project. So I'll head over to File, Settings, under Language and Frameworks, Flutter, and this SDK path. I saved it under C drive, but I forgot to let you all know that we all still had our SDK under the downloads folder. So technically, the professional thing to do, which I forgot to mention, is which we can change it now also, is copy this this folder that we just downloaded. So Control C or Control X, and paste it under C drive. And so I saved it under SRC, so C drive SRC, and paste it somewhere here. It doesn't matter where, just as long as you have something similar to this. So Flutter, like however the hierarchy is, it doesn't matter, as long as it should be like directly under C drive. That's the recommended path. Now, even if you haven't done this, it's totally fine. I totally forgot, but it's fine. You can just update whichever path you're using. Let me show again. File, Settings, Flutter, and this SDK path. Be sure to have the SDK path here. Whichever you're using. If you're using the downloads, if your folder is in the downloads, so copy this path and paste it here. Or if your folder is under C drive, as I have here. C drive, then src, and then Flutter. So I hope that solves that problem. So paste the path wherever your Flutter is, paste that path here, and I hope that helps. And
Dalton, is there any of the questions that you think can help the rest of us? I'm switching back to Dalton's screen very quickly.
Perfect.
I'm not exactly sure what else other than making sure the plugin's installed, because I know that was a pretty common issue we were having.
Okay. So in that case, can we go back to the presentation, Rohan, and then
Yes.
make sure to ask any other questions you have in the classroom, and one of us will try to coordinate and get those answered.
Yes. So yes, let's try to get the plugins installed, which people are trying to process. Let's so if you're using Android Studio, which Dalton is using, so I'll show that as an example. Under File, Settings, and here under Plugins, might be like we might have downloaded it but not enabled it. That might be a common troubleshooting thing. So be sure these two are enabled. So some other troubleshooting thing is under languages, which you showed me, Dalton. That's nice, thank you. Under the SDK path, be sure your SDK path is correct. Your plugins are installed. Yeah, but these like are the main troubleshooting things where people could have problems with. So is this what you were referring to, Dalton?
1 second, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. So once it's installed, I hope that fixes the problem. You could try it out, and all of you can let us know in the chat section. Is it working? And we can see if it works. Yes, and also don't wait. Today is like because like slow and on purpose. Like let's try to get everyone on the same page. So I don't know if some of you want to see some actual Flutter code or some Flutter apps made. Things pick up from like the future sessions. So let's try to get the setup. Let's try to get setup working for everyone. So
so some people in the VS Code are getting the error, no such method error, for an emulator path.
For an emulator path, no such method error. For an emulator path, so that is like a rare error, which it doesn't appear quite often. I've not yet actually seen something similar to that. So some troubleshooting thing is you should see your device here at the bottom right if everything is working correctly. There is one thing, however, is yes, that should work. So there's something like maybe yes, but I'm not really sure on how to do that. So
I think we can tackle those individually. Maybe there are some cases that we need to go in one-on-one. Happy to do that. Rohan, back to you. Take the lead. And Dalton is going to be backstage. Anytime any other questions come in, I'll bring him back on, and he'll be paying attention to the stream as we go through it. Thank you, Dalton, so much.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yes. Cool. So let's come back here. And also, if all of you who have errors, no problem. I hope you're doing it on Dartpad. Cool. So we have the text here, and we've done it. Now, let's actually head back over to the slides. You know what logic we have. So this is our plan. We want to get this text here and style this text. So like this is just to get used to the way we write this Dart code. So you see under text, we have the style field, and this takes another like an object, which is of the type text style. It's that easy. There's no XML file as an Android. Everything's done in one place. So let's see how we do that. To style this text here inside your text property. By the way, if you want to format this, Shift Alt F. And also one tip is like if everything's on the same line, you want it on different lines, you can just keep a comma between the parentheses, and Shift Alt F now takes it to the next line. So you get this proper hierarchy. Sometimes it doesn't happen by default. It might not happen if there's no comma. So be sure to put comma if you see multiple parentheses on the same line, if you want it in different lines. So this is something you can remember. Shift Alt F, and on Android Studio it is Control Alt L. You have this hello world. Now let's style this. So within the text parenthesis, comma, style property, text style. Right? I'm intentionally going slow so you all can see it clearly. Under text style, you have all these properties that you can change. So here you can change things like color. Now, as you saw from last time, there's a default like set of colors that you can access using colors. So there's this colors class, colors dot. So I put the text as red. You can change it to something like green, let's say. And then to see it reflect on your main app, Control S. And in hardly any time, you can see it turned into green. But here the text is too small. It's very easy to change the size of the text after the color, like between the text style parentheses, font size, and here change it to something like 30.0. So everything is in terms of pixels. So no need of any units. It's always pixels. Control S. You see it increase in size, right? And now everything's on the same line. Different lines, and then you get this neat hierarchy. And if you want like this also to be put on separate lines, these two properties, before this ending parenthesis, just put a comma, and then Shift Alt F. Commas are a way to tell your editor that hey, I want it on different lines. Without the comma, let me show you how it is again. On the same line, right? All the text styles properties are on the same line. If you want on different lines, a comma, Shift Alt F, Control S. You have your hello world, you have your text style. And actually, we covered this center. So let me head. Oh, yes. And one thing, if you want to make this bold, so these are some common properties I want to show you. There's a property called font weight. Under text style, font weight, here you can type in capital font weight, dot, and you get all of these font weights here. So font weights are like bold or normal, and then you can have extremely light. Oops, Control S, and it's like very thin text, and you can have font weight dot bold, and you can have it extremely bold. So by default, it is normal. You can change the font weight too. So like don't worry, with time this will just be so easy for you, and like covering it as slowly as possible, so we all are on the same page. So like a code snippet, text, and then write the text. After a comma, you can have any number of properties. So we chose style property. Within style is a text style that has font size, color, and font weight. To center this, what we did was we wrapped the text that we had, this text widget. You see on the previous slide, this text widget. We wrapped it within a center widget. So from the top left, it goes to center. Right? You see how everything is a composition of widgets. Text widget. Then wrap the text widget with the center widget that centers everything. Next, what we're going to try to do is try to change the color and the text of our app bar, which we have actually done. So we can play around with that too. Under scaffold, there's this app bar field that has this app bar widget. Within that, you have title, that's a text. So you can change the text here to hello and then your name, let's say Dalton. and Control S, and you should see change here. If you want to change the color to purple, Control S, and you should see change to purple. So you can play around with these. And now next, so I hope you got this to work. And if not in the IDE or in all the tools that we discussed, hopefully you got it to work in Dartpad. And if not, I can try to help. Next, so this is your first Flutter, your first DogQuotes. So you're getting the hang of it. Now let's try to see how to include images. So we're going to you can have your profile picture. I have mine here. We're going to see how do we include images in our app. So we are starting with the basics, just like text, images in our app. It's very simple. With just one line of code, like technically just one line, right? For simplicity, we made it many lines. You can include that asset image in our app. Let's see how we do it. So within our app, so let me actually right click and then reveal in File Explorer. So we can see the actual structure of this, the structure. So it's in the Live Apps 1, Hello World. The same thing, right? Under the root directory, create a new directory called Assets. Under Assets, you create a new directory. Oops. Under Assets, create a new directory called Images. Now, technically, you can include images anywhere, even in the root folder, even in the assets folder. But by default, I mean by convention, we save it under root, assets, images. Now here, you can save your profile picture. So navigate your profile picture like from where you have, and I'm going to take mine from here and paste it here. So be sure what name you're saving it as. Like my name, Rohan underscore profile.jpg. Now, so if you notice now in Visual Studio Code, it should update. Go under Assets, under Images, you should see your image, right? Now, the thing is, Flutter, it still doesn't recognize that this image exists. So to include this image, there's a new file we're going to use every single time. It's something called pubspec.yaml. So this is like a manifest file. It's a manifest. So it includes all it just talks about what's included in your app. So if you scroll down, you'll see something commented out. This assets. This talks about how do you add assets to your app. So you can uncomment it out by selecting it and then Control / and delete. These images, we don't need it. You can include the image that you just saved in that folder. So you can include the image here and then Control S. Now, whenever you change your pubspec.yaml, it's good practice to always stop the app and restart it again. So, like now Flutter knows that this image exists. However, it still may not work since we started the app when this didn't exist. So to make sure it exists now, you can stop the app using the stop button, or on Android Studio using the stop button here. And on Dartpad, since you can't include images, don't worry. We'll talk about how to include an image from the internet. So we'll come to that. Don't worry. And now restart the app. So be sure you're on your main.dart file and then click on Run and Debug. And if you're on Android Studio, click on the play button after selecting your emulator. And if you're on Dartpad, we'll cover that too. How do we include network images, which is the second part. So today, our main focus is to get the setup running. So like we're going slow, and let's try to get everything set up. Then the cool stuff, the cool Flutter, the like the cool Flutter apps that will start from next week onwards. So let's wait until this loads. And I don't know if there are any questions coming in. We can try to solve those.
I'm going to put Dalton back on.
Sorry?
Dalton is back on. So Dalton,
Yeah,
how
so
does it go for you?
most of the questions I'm seeing right now relate to not being able to set the path variable. Some on macOS, some on Windows.
So for Windows, and I think it'll be similar for Mac too. So whenever you downloaded your Flutter, that SDK, remember we unzipped that SDK? So that unzipped folder, and then head over to the folder where you have all the files, and then copy this. So you might, oh yes, this could be an error. You might just be selecting this path, but actually go one step in, and in this Flutter, where you see all the files, copy that path, and hopefully that solves the problem. So in Android Studio File, Settings, under Language and Frameworks, under Flutter, paste it here. Hopefully that helps. So many people seem to have problem with this. So we can even do it like one-on-one later. So you can ask in the classroom and we can try to fix those problems.
And the other one was
Yes.
people's devices aren't being recognized with USB debugging on
People's devices aren't being recognized
when they're plugging them in via USB.
Yes. That's so. That's a unique thing. So it should work. So there must be something. So for now, I would just recommend if you can try to get it to work on your emulator, and if not, if you can try to do it on DarkPad, and then for if your physical device doesn't appear here in this list, then we can try to do something one-on-one, because I think that's some small error here and there, or some small configuration that we have to change. But as on some like a general troubleshooting tip that I can give, yeah, I think it should work. So we'll try to do something one-on-one, hopefully. Yeah. Anything else? Are we? How are we?
I think that's it.
That cool. Yes. So I'm sorry if it's not working for you. I mean, I hope it it works for you, and I wanted it to work for all of you. So for all those who if there's some small things here and there, I'd be happy to try to fix it. So don't worry. And also, if you're getting a sense that we're just going to be doing this the whole time, like setup, I mean, like there's like two sides of the thing where we shouldn't go too slow and we shouldn't go too fast. And today we are focusing on getting everything set up, and even this small problems, we'll try to fix it. So don't worry. So what could happen is, if it gives an error, maybe I'm not. Yep, my thing is wrong. It's assets/images. So be sure to have your pubspec.yaml file to work. Otherwise, it won't even run the app until now we can start again. But I hope it's working for at least the majority, and no, yeah, that's my I can't think of anything else that could it must be something small, so we'll fix it later. But anyway, I hope you're following along with the actual code at least and try to understand what's going on. Ask questions about that and we can try to solve it. So for now, I would recommend you to use DarkPad till then for all of you. And let's wait for. Yes.
You added all the links even to the code that you're using right now to display this on the description from your Git repo, right? So if anybody want to double check, make sure to go to the YouTube description. All those links are available for you to play around with. And we see a lot of you join the classroom, which is good. And I know we broke them down into the weeks and the sessions that we do. And if you run into any of those questions, just ping us, put it on there, and one of us will try to coordinate with Rohan to get those answered. As well as we're going to send the ones who registered with us to join our Discord so we can do this tandem live and like doing a little bit of office hours kind of thing, depending on how much bandwidth each and every one of them have, because they have full course load and they're taking time off to come and teach you all. So we're very grateful for that. Rohan, so what are we going to learn next week?
Oh yes. So next week we're going to be building our favorite celebrities app. So we're going to be moving into more. I think so. Like more advanced widgets like columns, rows, centers, and center we discussed now more with images. How to download from the internet some images from there. Yeah. So the full list on. So actually, it's. I have it here.
We have the event links already shared, which I'll put a link back to it.
Yes.
So there you go. And we have 8 sessions. We're going to market the other 5 as well. I got a question for Dalton. Is this the first time you're playing around with Flutter, or have you learned Flutter before? What level are you at?
I started Flutter last year after my DSC fished up with the Solutions Challenge. I picked up Flutter and I've been using it ever since. I love Flutter.
Yeah,
it's a great tool.
Okay, so Rohan, it's your call. I guess we are ready to wrap up this session. Looking forward to everybody next week. So as I mentioned, as I'm putting the links down here, we are running a called Study Jam on the 10th. Share this link. I hope to see you all. We'll have a similar setup. We have some experts coming in. We'll have a classroom plus a Discord server set up. You'll get access to live the GCP, the Google Cloud Platform. And then the other event, don't forget, we have John Hennessy, who's the chairman of Alphabet, who's going to come and talk to all you students. So stay tuned for that. Let me quickly put that link up so you can go sign up as well. All these official links will also be shared through our DSC chapters. So if you don't know where to go and find your DSC chapter, go to the link I'm going to put up quickly and find your club. If you can't find a club close within your campus, maybe there's something closer to you, and then stay connected with the network. Now, that being said, I wanted to thank you so much to Rohan. I know you put a lot of work into this. We've been working on this for a few months to work through the content, the strategy, and the delivery of all of it. As you can see, we're still figuring out the best way to deliver this. I know a lot of your universities are figuring things out too. So that's why we're trying different hybrids of Slack versus Discord versus classrooms versus live streams. So any feedback you have, we're happy to hear it. Leave a comment, and we'll try to get this continuously going forward. So any last thoughts, any last words that you'd like to share?
Yes. So one thing is like so today was just like an introduction, like a setup. So from next week onwards, things are going to get very interesting, and we're going to have like proper, like just like our Android series, we're going to have our GitHub repo with all those to-dos and proper setup. Today was just an introduction, so it was like, I don't know if you feel discouraged or something that Flutter is not too advanced. We were going through the basics. There's a lot that we're going to cover, and so stay tuned, and things are going to pick up from now.
I think, the scaffolding and the setup is always tricky. And then when you get updates, links are going to break. It's always good to reach out to somebody who's been there, done that, who can guide you through it. Now, I think we learned another lesson here. Not everybody's using Android Studio. I'm a big Visual Studio fan, so I can see the little differences, little nuances that each and every platform brings to the mix. So we'll try to address all those issues in the next coming sessions that we're going to work together.
Oh yes, we're going to implement all that and try to make it even better than our Android one before. And I think this one went okay, but we'll make it even more beneficial for all of you.
And then Rohan, you're going to work on some comedy too in the middle of all that, right? So I'm trying to implement some.
Oh yes, yes, that I'm good. Yeah, I think I'm just like too uptight today. It's or as Mr. Bean would describe it, a cactus lodged up his bottom. I can't do a British accent, but basically, I just like if I do a little bit of comedy, and if you all would be okay with it, I just ease into that. That's where I feel comfortable, and you can see I don't know. I'm just going to open it up to the floor. Do you want like a? I mean, I don't know. I usually have a lot of fun with it, and I think I'm going to do that. I feel more comfortable. I'll be able to give all of you a better session. There's going to be some comedy coming in between. It's not going to be like any one of those regular sessions you see. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be fun.
As long as it's PG-13 and I don't get yelled at by my superiors, we all good. Okay, so that being said, thank you so much, Rohan, Dalton. Thank you so much. I know we had a few other gentlemen, Danny in the background, who was answering all the questions today. Special thank to him. And there's a few other DSCs who were in the chat supporting it. Thank you. And thank you for you all for joining and tuning in. Let your friends know we're doing this every week till closer to December, I believe. I'll put the schedule and everything on the other events that are coming up. I'm going to showcase the 2 other events that are coming in the next few weeks. After that, we're going to wrap things up. And you all have a good night.
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
Get ready for a cloud-first workplace. Jumpstart your career by signing up for a Google Cloud hands-on learning experience. Companies around the world are moving to the cloud. This is a unique opportunity to gain new skills and professional credentials. If you want to discover a career, scale your startup, or perform groundbreaking research that will change the world, this is the event for you.